The massive crystal dome of the Grand Council chamber sparkled under the light of 3 suns. Inside, 12 ancient beings sat around a circular table that seemed to float in midair. These were the Elders, the oldest and wisest species in the known galaxy. Today, their usual calm was replaced by nervous tension. Elder Blue, the oldest among them, stood up. His crystalline form caught the light, sending rainbow patterns across the chamber walls. "We can no longer ignore what we've discovered about the humans," he said, his voice deep and troubled. The other elders shifted in their seats. They had watched humanity for centuries, ever since the species had first left their home planet. What had started as simple observation had turned into growing concern. "Show them," Elder Blue commanded. A hologram appeared in the center of the chamber, displaying scenes from various human colonies and ships. In each scene, impossible things were happening. A human child falling from a building, only to somehow land safely. A space station that should have exploded, mysteriously repairing itself. A colony surviving a meteor strike that should have wiped it out. "These are not coincidences," Elder Green said, her plant-like form swaying gently. "The humans are doing something that should be impossible. They're changing reality itself." The chamber erupted in whispers. Elder Red, known for his fiery temper, slammed his metallic hand on the table. "We've known this for decades. We should have acted sooner. They're becoming stronger." Elder Blue raised his hand for silence. "We hid this truth from the galaxy because we feared panic. Humans don't even know what they can do. Their power only shows when they're in danger or extreme stress." A younger elder named Gray stood up. Unlike the others, he had spent time among humans, disguised as one of them. "Perhaps it's time we told them the truth. They're not dangerous. They're—" Silence. Elder Blue's voice boomed. "You're too young to remember the reality wars. The last species that could shape reality nearly destroyed the galaxy. We locked those powers away for a reason." Gray wouldn't back down. "But humans are different. They don't use this power for conquest. It only appears when they need to survive or protect others. I've seen it myself." The hologram changed to show a human ship caught in an asteroid field. The ship should have been crushed, but somehow the asteroids kept missing it, defying the laws of physics. The crew's brainwave patterns showed they had no idea they were doing anything unusual. "That's exactly what makes them dangerous," Elder Red argued. "They don't understand or control it. What happens when they do? When billions of humans realize they can bend reality to their will?" Elder Blue nodded slowly. "This is why we must keep the secret, not just from humans, but from everyone. If other species learn about this, they might try to destroy humanity before they fully awaken." Gray walked to the center of the chamber. "You're making a mistake. I've lived among them. They value peace. They help other species. You've grown too close to them." Elder Blue interrupted. "The decision is made. We will continue to watch and wait. No one must know that humans are the descendants of the reality shapers." The words hung heavy in the air. Most of the elders nodded in agreement, but Gray stood his ground. "This will backfire," he warned. "Humans are exploring more of the galaxy every day. They're getting into more conflicts. More of their powers are showing. We can't hide this forever." "Then we will hide it for as long as we can," Elder Blue declared. "This meeting is over. Return to your duties. Watch the humans, but do not interfere." As the elders filed out of the chamber, Gray lingered behind. He looked at the hologram of the human ship, still playing in the center of the room. He had seen something the others hadn't. The humans weren't just surviving by accident. Deep down, they were starting to sense their power. It was only a matter of time before they fully awakened. And when that happened, the galaxy would never be the same. The human exploration vessel Star Seeker drifted through the edges of unknown space. Captain James Miller stood on the bridge, staring at the massive warships that had appeared out of nowhere. His hands gripped the command chair tightly as the alien vessels surrounded them. "They're not responding to any of our peace signals. Lieutenant Mark reported from his station. "All weapons are locked on us, Captain." Miller looked at his crew of 30. They were explorers, not warriors. Their ship carried basic defenses, but nothing that could stand against a fleet of warships. "Keep broadcasting the peace message in all languages," he ordered, trying to keep his voice steady. The alien ships were dark and angular, covered in what looked like black scales. They moved with perfect coordination, forming a circle around the Star Seeker. No escape route remained. "Captain," Officer Tom's voice was sharp with fear. "They're charging weapons." Miller's mind raced. His crew was about to die, and there was nothing he could do. He thought of their families back home, of all the people who would never know what happened to them. A strange feeling built in his chest, like pressure before a storm. The first alien shot streaked across space. Miller watched it come, time seeming to slow down. The entire crew felt something shift inside them, a power they didn't understand rising up like a wave. Then the impossible happened. The energy blast passed straight through the Star Seeker, as if the ship wasn't there. The crew stared in disbelief. More shots followed, but each one passed harmlessly through them. "What's happening?" Mark whispered. "Our sensors say those hits should be destroying us." Miller felt lightheaded. The pressure in his chest had spread to his whole body. Around him, the crew reported similar feelings. None of them noticed their eyes had started glowing slightly. The alien ships fired everything they had. Each shot either passed through the Star Seeker or veered off at impossible angles. It was as if reality itself was bending around the human vessel. Then things got stranger. The space around them began to ripple. The alien ships started shifting positions, their perfect formation breaking apart. Some of them seemed to flicker, appearing and disappearing like bad holograms. "Sir," Tom called out, "the enemy ships, they're just gone." Miller blinked. Where moments ago there had been 15 warships, now there was nothing but empty space. No debris, no energy readings, nothing to suggest the ships had ever been there. The pressure in his chest faded. Around him, the crew slumped in their chairs, suddenly exhausted. None of them could explain what had happened, but they all knew they should be dead. "Run a full sensor sweep," Miller ordered, his voice shaking. "Check everything. There must be an explanation." But the sensors showed nothing unusual. According to all their instruments, their ship had never been in danger. Yet every crew member remembered the alien fleet clearly. "Send a message to command," Miller said finally. "Tell them." He paused, wondering how to explain something he didn't understand himself. "Tell them we encountered hostile forces, but survived through unknown means." As the message was sent, Miller looked at his crew. They were avoiding each other's eyes, each lost in their own thoughts. They had done something impossible, but none of them knew how. In the ship's bathroom, Officer Tom splashed water on his face. When he looked in the mirror, he could have sworn his eyes flashed with an inner light for just a moment. He blinked, and it was gone. Far away, in the Grand Council chamber, Elder Gray watched the recording of the incident. His worst fears were coming true. Humans were starting to use their powers more openly, even if they didn't understand them. The other elders would see this as a threat. But Gray saw something else in the recording. The humans hadn't destroyed the alien ships. They had simply shifted them somewhere else. Even in mortal danger, they had chosen not to kill. The question was, how long could the truth stay hidden now? Commander Anna Thompson rubbed her tired eyes as she studied the reports spread across her desk. As head of the newly formed Unusual Incidents Division, she had spent weeks collecting stories of impossible events involving human ships and colonies. Another one just came in, her assistant said, placing a datapad in front of her. "Mining colony on Delta 4. Their protective dome cracked during a dust storm. Somehow, the crack sealed itself before anyone could die." Anna picked up the datapad, adding it to her growing collection of mysteries. "How many is that now?" 43 confirmed cases in the past month alone. all following the same pattern. Humans in danger, impossible things happening, no one able to explain how. The office walls were covered with pictures and diagrams. Each showed a different incident: a ship surviving a direct hit from an asteroid, a colony appearing to teleport 3 miles from its original location during an earthquake, a space station phasing through a piece of space debris that should have torn it apart. "Look at this," Anna said, pointing to a brain scan. "Every survivor shows the same pattern. Intense brain activity in parts of the mind we didn't even know existed, always during the moment of crisis." A knock at the door interrupted her thoughts. Dr. Wells, their lead scientist, entered with a serious expression. "Commander, you need to see this. We found something in the genetic tests." He placed a hologram projector on her desk. It showed a strand of DNA, but there was something strange about it. Parts of it seemed to shift and change as they watched. "This is from a survivor of the Star Seeker incident," Wells explained. "Their DNA, it's not normal. There are sequences that shouldn't exist, patterns that don't match anything we've ever seen." Anna leaned forward. "What does it mean?" "I don't know. But whatever it is, every human has it. We're all carrying this impossible DNA, these patterns that seem to defy the laws of physics just by existing." Before Anna could respond, alarms blared through the building. Her computer screen lit up with urgent messages. "No," she whispered. "Not again." Another incident was happening, this time on a civilian transport ship. As they watched the live feed, the ship somehow passed through a solid asteroid that should have destroyed it. The passengers had no idea anything unusual had happened. "The Federation observers are getting nervous," her assistant reported. "They're demanding answers we don't have." Anna stood up, walking to the window that overlooked the city. Somewhere out there, millions of humans were carrying this strange power inside them, a power that seemed to wake up exactly when they needed it most. "Doctor," she said, still staring at the city, "what happens if this keeps spreading? If more humans start doing impossible things?" Wells shook his head. "The incidents are increasing. Whatever this is, it's growing stronger. And the strange thing is," he hesitated. "What? In every case, the power only appears to save lives. Never to harm, never to conquer. It's like we have a guardian angel built into our DNA." Anna turned back to her desk, picking up a report from a Federation observer. The alien's words were careful, diplomatic, but she could sense the fear behind them. Other species were starting to notice that something was different about humans. "Keep this quiet," she ordered. "The last thing we need is panic, but expand the investigation. I want to know everything: where this power comes from, why we have it, and most importantly, what we're becoming." As her team left to carry out her orders, Anna looked at one last image on her wall. It showed a human child who had survived a terrible accident. In the picture, taken just moments before she should have died, the girl's eyes glowed with an inner light that seemed to bend reality itself. Something was awakening in humanity. The question was, were they ready for it? In his hidden observation post, Elder Gray watched Anna's investigation with growing concern. The humans were getting closer to the truth, faster than anyone had expected. Soon, not even the elders would be able to keep their secret. The awakening had begun. Dr. Robert Wells stood in his underground laboratory, watching the experiment through reinforced glass. Inside the test chamber, a small metal cube floated in midair, defying gravity. But that wasn't what made his hand shake as he took notes. The cube was being held up by nothing but human thought. "How are you feeling, John?" he asked through the intercom. The test subject, a young researcher who had survived the Star Seeker incident, sat in a meditation pose inside the chamber. "It feels natural," John answered, his eyes glowing with a faint blue light. "Like I've always known how to do this, but just forgot until now." Wells checked the readings on his instruments. They showed massive energy fluctuations that shouldn't be possible. The very fabric of reality seemed to bend around John as he consciously used his abilities for the first time. Suddenly, Alarms blared through the facility. The cube didn't just float, it vanished completely, then reappeared as a pyramid. John opened his eyes, startled, and everything returned to normal. "That's enough for today," Wells said quickly, shutting down the equipment. He had to hide his excitement. After weeks of careful experiments, they were finally understanding what humans could really do. But they weren't the only ones watching. In a hidden room above the laboratory, Federation observers recorded everything. Their reports went directly to their governments, spreading fear throughout the galaxy. Humans weren't just lucky survivors anymore. They were learning to control their impossible powers. Later that night, Wells sat in his office, reviewing the data. His computer screen suddenly flickered, and words appeared that he hadn't typed. "They're coming to shut you down. Delete everything. A friend." Wells hesitated for just a moment, then hit the delete key. Years of research vanished just as Federation security forces burst through his door. "This facility is now under Federation control," the lead agent announced. "All research is to be terminated immediately." But it was too late. The information had already spread. Across Earth and its colonies, more humans were awakening. A construction worker saved his crew by unconsciously creating a force field when a building collapsed. A teacher protected her students from a reactor breach by somehow absorbing the radiation. Each incident made the news, despite Federation attempts to suppress the information. In his hidden laboratory on Mars, Wells continued his research in secret. The pieces were finally coming together. Humans weren't just developing new abilities, they were remembering old ones. "Look at this," he told his small team, showing them ancient cave paintings he'd discovered. "Our ancestors could do these things too. Something made us forget, made us suppress these powers. But now they're coming back." A young researcher raised her hand. "But why now? What changed?" Wells smiled. "We did. Each generation of humans has grown stronger, more connected to these abilities. The Federation's attempts to stop us are actually making it happen faster. The more they try to suppress it, the more humans awaken." On the other side of the galaxy, Elder Gray watched as well. His warnings had come true. Humanity wasn't just discovering their powers, they were evolving beyond anything the Elders had expected. Back in the secret lab, Wells made one final test. He gathered his team, each of them survivors of various incidents. Together, they focused their thoughts on a single point in space. Reality itself seemed to shiver. A window opened in the air, showing them a view of distant stars no human telescope had ever seen. "We're ready," Wells whispered. "The question is the galaxy ready for us?" But even as he spoke, Federation ships were gathering in orbit. The Elders' secret was breaking down, and some species wanted to stop humanity's awakening, no matter the cost. They didn't understand that it was already too late. Humanity had begun to remember who they really were, and what they could really do. The true awakening was just beginning. The attack came without warning. Thousands of warships appeared above Earth's colonies, their weapons already firing. 7 aggressive species had formed an alliance with one goal: stop humanity before they became too powerful. On New Mars, the sky turned red with weapons fire. Colonel Peter watched from the Defense Command Center as the first shots hit their shields. "Return fire," he ordered, knowing their weapons were too weak to matter. But something else happened instead. As death seemed certain, 10,000 humans on New Mars felt something awaken inside them. Their eyes began to glow, and reality bent to their collective will. The enemy shots didn't just miss. They transformed into harmless light shows in the sky. "What's happening?" an alien commander demanded, watching his fleet's weapons have no effect. "How are they doing this?" The answer came in a way no one expected. Across every human colony under attack, the same thing was occurring. Millions of humans, faced with extinction, unconsciously joined their powers together. On Terra Nova, the second largest human colony, an entire alien fleet found itself suddenly transformed into clouds of butterflies. The insects floated harmlessly in space, their wings somehow sparkling in impossible colors. "Status report," the alien general demanded. "Sir, we've lost contact with all attack groups," his officer responded. "The ships they're not ships anymore. The humans are changing reality itself." Above Earth, the main alien fleet pressed their attack. They had expected resistance, but nothing like this. Their weapons dissolved into flower petals. Their ships' metal hulls turned to glass, then water, then back to metal. Space itself seemed to ripple and dance around them. In orbit around Jupiter, Dr. Wells monitored the situation from his hidden lab. "It's happening faster than we thought," he told his team. "The attack triggered a mass awakening. Humans everywhere are remembering what they can do." The alien forces tried one last desperate attack. They targeted Earth's largest cities with planet-killer weapons. But as the bombs fell, something incredible happened. Every human on Earth, all 10 billion of them, felt their power activate at once. Their combined consciousness reached out, and reality obeyed. The weapons didn't just stop. They ceased to exist, had never existed. History itself changed in that moment. In the Grand Council chamber, the elders watched in shock. Even they hadn't known humans could be this powerful. Elder Gray stood among them, a slight smile on his face. "Now you see," he said, "they don't use the power for conquest. Even now, they're only protecting themselves. Not one human has killed in retaliation." He was right. Despite having the power to destroy their attackers, humans across the galaxy were only defending. Weapons were transformed, not turned back on their owners. Ships were disabled, not destroyed. In every case, human power was used to save lives, all lives. The alien commander looked at his fleet, now turned into a collection of giant soap bubbles floating harmlessly in space. His crew was unharmed, but they were utterly defeated. "Retreat," he ordered. "Retreat everywhere." But there was nowhere to retreat to. Space itself had changed. The humans had unconsciously created a new rule in reality. Weapons of mass destruction simply couldn't exist anymore, anywhere. In New York, a young girl looked up at the sky and waved her hand. The clouds formed into beautiful shapes, and she laughed. She didn't understand the power she was using. To her, it felt as natural as breathing. The attack was over in less than an hour. Not a single human life was lost. Not a single attacker was killed. But the galaxy had changed forever. In his lab, Wells received a message from an unknown source. "The time has come. The elders can't hide the truth anymore. Humanity must know what they really are." The message was signed simply, Gray. Wells looked out at Jupiter's moons, now glowing with strange new colors that humans had unconsciously created during the battle. The uprising wasn't just successful. It had awakened something that could never be put back to sleep. Humanity had found its true power, and they had done it without losing their humanity in the process. The Grand Council chamber was packed with representatives from every known species. For the first time in history, humans stood among them. Dr. Wells and Commander Thompson represented Earth, their eyes occasionally glowing with barely contained power. Elder Blue stepped forward, his crystalline form dimmed with what looked like shame. "We have hidden the truth for too long," he announced. "The time has come for all to know." The chamber's center filled with a hologram showing ancient star maps. Long ago, before any of our civilizations existed, there was a race called the Shapers. Elder Blue began. They could alter reality with a thought. They built wonders across the galaxy, helped younger species evolve, and watched over creation itself. A hologram change, showing massive space battles. But some Shapers wanted to rule rather than guide. A war broke out that nearly destroyed reality itself. In the end, the peaceful Shapers won, but at a terrible cost. Most of their race was gone. The survivors decided to hide their powers and live as normal beings. Wells stood up. "We're their descendants, aren't we? That's why we can do these things." Elder Gray stepped forward. "Yes, the Shapers became human. They blocked their own powers, hoping to give their children a chance to evolve naturally, to learn wisdom before power. The chamber erupted in shocked whispers. Commander Thompson's voice cut through the noise. "Why tell us now? Why not let us discover this ourselves?" "Because you're different," Elder Gray answered. "Your ancestors feared you would repeat their mistakes. But look what you did when attacked. You defended without destroying, protected without killing. You've already proven yourselves wiser than they were." Images appeared showing how humans had handled the recent attack. Cities saved, lives spared, even the attackers protected from their own weapons. The other species watched in amazement. "There's more," Elder Blue added. "The Shapers left a message for their children, meant to be revealed when you were ready." He pressed a crystal, and a new hologram appeared. A figure of pure light spoke. "To our children, we gave up our powers so you could find your own way. We hid the truth so you would learn compassion before power, wisdom before ability. When you discover who you are, remember this: reality itself is alive. Work with it, don't command it. Love it, don't control it. This is the secret we learned too late." The message faded. Wells looked at his hands, understanding finally dawning. "That's why our powers feel natural. We're not changing reality. We're asking it for help, working with it." Elder Gray nodded. "You've developed a relationship with reality that even the original Shapers never had. You don't see it as a tool to be used, but as a partner to work with." The other species representatives shifted uncomfortably. An alien leader stood up. "What happens now? How can we trust such powerful beings?" Commander Thompson answered, her voice gentle but firm. "We haven't changed. We're the same humans who've been your neighbors and friends. We just understand ourselves better now. The question," Wells added, "is whether you can accept us as we truly are." The chamber fell silent. Then, slowly, representatives began to stand. Not in fear, but in acceptance. They had seen how humans used their power. The attack had proved humans could be trusted with abilities that could have made them gods. Elder Blue faced the humans. "The galaxy is changing. Your people are awakening everywhere. Will you help guide us into this new era?" Wells and Thompson shared a look. They could feel the hopes and fears of humanity flowing through them. Their people didn't want to rule or control. They just wanted to help, to explore, to learn. "We will," Thompson said simply. "Not as rulers, but as friends, partners, teachers for those who want to learn, students for those who can teach." As the chamber erupted in discussion, Elder Gray smiled. The great secret was finally revealed, but the real story was just beginning. Humanity had found its truth. Now they had to decide what to do with it. 5 years after the revelation, the galaxy had changed in ways no one could have predicted. On a terraformed Mars, Dr. Wells stood in front of a class of students from 30 different species. Above them, the sky shimmered with colors that hadn't existed before humans fully awakened. "Remember," he said, watching his students practice basic reality shaping, "it's not about forcing change. It's about asking the universe to dance with you." A young alien student managed to turn his pencil into a flower. Not by commanding reality, but by politely suggesting the change. The whole class cheered. In orbit, Commander Thompson's new ship, Unity, glided through space. Her crew was a mix of humans and aliens, all working together to explore the expanded universe that human abilities had revealed. Reality wasn't just bendable. It was bigger than anyone had imagined. New reading from Sector 7, her alien science officer reported. "Another pocket universe wanting to make contact. They say they've been waiting for us to evolve enough to find them." Thompson smiled. Every day brought new discoveries. Humanity's awakening hadn't just changed their reality. It had connected them to countless others. Back on Earth, in the rebuilt Grand Council chamber, Elder Gray sat with human representatives. The chamber itself had been transformed, now existing in multiple dimensions at once. To everyone's surprise, humans had insisted on keeping the council, not to rule them but to guide and advise. "The changes are stabilizing. a human scientist reported. Reality has found a new balance. Other species are starting to show signs of their own abilities, just like we hoped. That had been humanity's first decision after gaining full control of their powers, to help other species discover their own unique gifts. Not all could shape reality like humans, but each had their own special connection to the universe. In a school on Alpha Centauri, a human teacher helped alien children understand their place in the expanded universe. The classroom wall showed different layers of reality, all interconnected, all alive with possibility. Today, she said, we're going to learn how to talk to stars. The children, both human and alien, closed their eyes. Above them, a nearby star pulsed with joy at their attention. Reality wasn't just something to shape, it was something to communicate with. Dr. Wells finished his class and walked through the Martian garden. Plants from 1,000 worlds grew together, creating impossible but beautiful combinations. Reality hadn't just been changed, it had been enhanced, made more diverse and interesting. His communicator beeped. The first graduating class of multi-species reality shapers is ready, Thompson's voice reported. 200 students from 50 species, all working in harmony with the universe. This was humanity's true victory, not the power to change reality, but the wisdom to share that power, to teach others, to make the universe better for everyone. In deep space, the Unity discovered something new, a message from the original shapers, hidden in the fabric of reality itself. It read, "You have exceeded our greatest hopes. Where we sought to control, you seek to understand. Where we tried to rule reality, you have become its friend. The future is in good hands." As the message spread across human space, people celebrated not their power, but their responsibility. Humanity had been given a gift, and they had chosen to share it. Elder Gray watched Earth's night side from orbit, seeing the beautiful patterns of light that humans now unconsciously created. Cities didn't just glow. They pulsed with life and harmony, each light dancing with its neighbors in endless, ever-changing patterns. They did it, he whispered to himself. They became what the shapers always should have been. In his classroom on Mars, Wells asked his students a final question. What is the most important thing we've learned about reality? A young alien raised her hand. That it's alive, she said, and that the greatest power isn't in changing it, but in being its friend. Wells nodded, watching the universe smile around them. Humanity had found its true place, not as rulers of reality, but as its partners, its students, and sometimes, when needed, its teachers. The new era had truly begun.